Welcome to Learn English with Dr. Riches. I'm very excited to be here to start this new lecture series. So, I would want you to join me on this exciting journey to improve your English language skills. And in this playlist, I'll be sharing engaging and informative lessons to help you understand the tidbits and miniatures and the study of the English language. New lessons will be uploaded regularly, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You know, there are so many things you're going to learn on this journey, and so if once you are done listening to a particular lesson, make sure to drop your feedback, or if you have suggestions for future lessons, or there are things you want us to look at, we can take a look at it, process it, and let you know if it's possible on this lecture series. I'm Dr. Riches, and I'm happy to be your teacher. Now, a lot of second language users and foreign language users of the English language complain about the complexities in learning the English language. You know, there are a lot of rules, there are a lot of spelling differences. You know, what you pronounce is not how a word is written. So, you know, there are indeed a lot of complexities. And this is not unconnected with the history of the language. A lot of people, other than the English people, had contacts with the language at different times in the history of the language. So, for easy categorization, stages in the development of the English language can be grouped into three. One, you have the Old English period, then the Middle English period, and Modern English period. The Old English period can further be divided into three. You have the pre-Old English period, the Old English period, and later Old English period. Now, the pre-Old English period is when we have not heard of the word English. It means that there were people occupying the British Isle who were not speaking in English, whose language was not English language. And so the original inhabitants of the British Isle were the Celts. And so these people were just speaking their Celtic languages. But when the Roman legions came to the British Isle, and that period was marked by the influx of Romans into the British Isle. So the Romans introduced Latin, which had a significant effect on the local Celtic languages. The local Celtic languages includes languages like Welsh and Cornish. When the Roman legions left the British Isle, the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes, who had been eyeing the British Isle, you know, who wanted to also be in that geographical space, had the opportunity to come, and you know, they arrived in batches. These people, that is the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes, were referred to by the Celts as Anglo-Saxons, and their language, the language they speak, was referred to as Englic. So that is the beginning of the word English. Now, technically, the Anglo-Saxons are the fathers of the English nation. That is, that's when we come to know that there is a language called English. Now, you can see clearly that there are different language contacts even in this first phase. And traces of these languages are still in existence till date in place names and hard sounding words. So if you look at it, from the little that I've told you, you see that, okay, you have Celtic language, you have Latin from the Romans, you had um, you had Old Norse, Danish, and Greek. Now, the language influences in the Old English period can specifically be traced to the Vikings who introduced Old Norse and Danish. So, we had earlier Celtic languages, then you had Latin, then the Vikings introduced Old Norse and Danish, especially in North and East England. And, through Christianity, we had Greek words relating to theology and liturgy. So, you have all of these. So, if you look at it clearly, the languages used in the Old English period are Celtic languages, the Latin, Old Norse, Danish, and Greek. Now, then after the Old English period, we move gradually to the Middle English period. And the movement is not sudden. There are events that would usually signal that that there is a change in the scheme of things. So, the major event that marked the change from Old to Middle English was the Norman Conquest. So, the Middle English period was ushered in by the Norman Conquest that occurred in AD 1066. Of course, this is a great period. This is a period of great influx of French words into the English language, and the French was the dominant language for a very long time. I think for about 200 years before English was re-established through several factors, which is not in the purview of this course. Now, so during the Middle English period, you had a lot of French languages coming into the English language. Now, the modern English period is signified by several events, and there are key events, just like we had in Middle English. Key events that marked modern English period include the invention of the printing technology by William Caxton, the British Empire, scientific revolution, we had the Industrial Revolution, and of course colonization and immigration. So people also moved from different, and people are still moving. We still have different innovations. So technically, modern English period can also be subdivided into three. So we can talk of early modern English period, modern English period, and late modern English period. Now, what do you think the language of the English language would look like with all these contacts? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Words of different origins, you would have different borrowings, neologisms, different word creation, different pronunciation system, but all of these have been harmonized. And of course, you have dictionaries of the English language now. So, the specific details in the history of English language is not within our purview in this lesson. If you want to know more about the history of the English language, you can read more on it online. But it is important for anyone studying the language to have an idea of how the language came to be and why we have so many languages in the language, so that we begin to understand the complexities, the reasons for the complexities that most of us complain about. That is, most of us who are second language users and who are whose English is our third language. So that's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching. Please take note of key items in bold letters. If you have not been taking note of them, go back and look at key items written in bold letters. These are things you should know and remember. Don't forget to join me again for another informative and insightful lesson on a study of the English language. I'm Dr. Riches and I'm happy to be your teacher. Bye.